We will hold social media platforms accountable for the hate infiltrating their platforms because they have a responsibility to help fight against this threat to our democracy. And if you profit off of hate, if you act as a megaphone for misinformation or cyber warfare, if you don't police your platforms, we are going to hold you accountable.
I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
But I also think there are Americans who are engaged in this kind of propaganda. And whether they should be civilly or even in some cases criminally charged is something that would be a better deterrent.
Welcome back, Warriors. It's me, Linda B. Thank you all so much for joining me here today. Warriors, we're talking about what I think Democrats would do if they ever got back in power. You're not going to want to miss this. That's what I'll be talking about today on Chat with me, Linda B. All right, Warriors, you know what to do. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, comment, share, subscribe to my channel, select all notifications, stick around to the end. Let's go. Democrats, what would they do if they ever got back in power? What do you think they would do? Would they take away free speech? Would they take away our guns? I mean, people believe that they would do some or all of these things. What is your belief? All right, we're going to take a look at some actual footage, not my opinion, but the words that have come out of a lot of these politicians' mouths on what they actually believe. But the problem is the people on the left who vote for these goons, they don't pay attention. They've been brainwashed, so they think that they're telling them something that's good for them. But I'm going to let you guys hear some more because you saw at the beginning of the clip, the beginning of the video, various Democrat politicians attacking free speech. Pay very close attention.
So in 2013, it was legalized in the United States to propagandize its citizens. What? Like, that's some scary third world stuff going on. That's the kind of stuff that people use to topple governments to take away freedoms.
Yes, you heard that right. Almost a decade ago, propaganda was legalized in the United States with the passage of the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act, which you've probably never heard of. The Smith-Mundt Modernization Act was buried in the 2012 National Defense Authorization Act for a good reason, because it repealed the 1948 Smith-Mundt Act, which authorized the State Department and the mainstream media to engage in propagandizing foreign countries, but it prohibited releasing that same propaganda in America for public consumption. This prohibition was lifted when the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act was signed into law by Obama.
Very simply, Obama gave it a reboot in 2012. So no matter how outrageous the propaganda may be, it's completely legal.
Propaganda, in other words, a false narrative for whatever specific purpose, is now much, much easier to perpetrate on the people.
Due to the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act, which went into effect on July the 2nd of 2013, scripted and orchestrated propaganda can now be presented to the American public as factual news.
All right, that's some heavy information right there. Okay, the modernization of the Smith-Mundt Act, signed by former President Barack Hussein Obama, which allegedly allows for free propaganda. You can just propagandize and not have any truth to it. And it also said that the information was scripted. Now, I noticed that each outlet was saying the exact same verbiage. They would say the exact same thing, like they were reading from a script. If you notice, they would say it every single time. And it would go through cycles where the code word would be fascist. Then everybody would say fascist. Then another cycle would be dictator. Then everybody would say dictator. Then another thing would come up and they would say, I don't know, misogynist. And everybody would say that word. And they would repeatedly say it over and over and over again to their unsuspecting viewers, who would then be psychologically brainwashed. There you go.
Democrats bring bill to prohibit armed citizen militias. I wonder why. Democrat lawmakers are advancing legislation intended to prevent privately organized paramilitary and militia group activities within the United States. Introduced by Senator Ed Markey and Representative Jamie Raskin on Thursday, the bill, dubbed the Preventing Private Paramilitary Activity Act, would prohibit privately organized groups from publicly patrolling, drilling, or engaging in harmful or deadly paramilitary techniques, interfering with or interrupting government proceedings, or interfering with the exercise of someone else's constitutional rights, according to Mr. Markey. Let's remember the Second Amendment, though, and it reads, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
You guys are seeing where I'm going with this. If they ever got back in power, this is just my opinion based on what they themselves have said out of their own mouths. Okay, they've spoken out against free speech. They don't want citizens, apparently, allegedly, not to bear arms. They don't want that. The modernization of the Smith-Monk Act. What else are we to conclude that they're going to do? I'm going to let you hear from former Secretary of State Hillary Rodham Clinton.
We haven't gotten to the more perfect union, and we fought a civil war over part of it. And people have been protesting, for hundreds of years that, things were not as they should be given our ideals and how we should be moving toward them. So I think that's what makes us so special as a country. And the idea that you could turn the clock back and try to recreate a world that never was, dominated by, let's say it, white men of a certain persuasion, a certain religion, a certain point of view, a certain ideology, is just doing such damage to what we should be aiming for. And we were on the path toward that. I mean, imperfectly, lots of, bumps along the way, but I agree with you. We were on the right trajectory.
What Hillary Clinton is really trying to say when she said we were on our way to try and get to that, but really what she was saying is something got in the way. Who was that something? Who was that person? It was President Donald J. Trump who got in their way. And she came up with the Russia hoax to deter from her email fiasco. And I'm sure you all remember that. So she mentioned that white men of a certain religion. Gee, I wonder what that religion is. Would that be Christianity? Would that be why Charlie Kirk is no longer with us? Straight, white, Christian, conservative men are a problem for the people on the left and the folks in the background. They are a problem. But I believe they're using white men and Christianity together for a very specific reason. Because what I believe what they're going to try and do is to try and make it seem like Christianity is a racist white man's religion. Okay, that is just my belief. You don't have to agree with me. It's just something I really believe because they always, on the left, try to demonize white men who are straight, white, Christian conservatives, making them out to, not that they are, but they're making them out to be racist. Okay, like they said about Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk embodied everything that the people on the left and the folks in the background hate. Hate. They don't want God anywhere near us. Okay, they don't want us getting married and having children the right way and raising them up and being Christian and also patriotic. Okay, Charlie Kirk exemplified everything that they absolutely despise. The people on the left despise this. And I'm talking about the people that are in control of things. Like I said, the people in the background. He was everything they hated, and he had to go. But the problem for the folks in the background is that there are other people rising up to the challenge, and that will not be silenced. So we have something to be concerned about if the Democrats, and I'm just going to say it, ever got back in power, because this is what I believe they would do. I believe they would get rid of religion. You heard what Hillary Clinton said. You know she was talking about Christianity. She said white men of a certain religion, they taken us back. We were on the right trajectory. We've had some bumps in the road. Yeah, you had a big bump in the road. It's called God. God does not want that for this country. Okay. They would stand there acting like the party of inclusivity. They are not. Okay. Because when you are conservative and religious, they want to silence you. Okay. There is no debate. There is no freedom of speech, debate, and having civil discourse with these people. They have proven themselves for who and what they are time and time and time again. They cannot be reasoned with. It's like a Jewish person trying to talk to someone who's a part of Hamas, having civil discourse. You cannot have civil discourse with someone who ultimately wants you 6 feet under. You can't have civil discourse with a person like that. All right. So another thing that they want in the background, these folks in the background, they don't want us to have authority over our children. What? Linda B., you are making this up. No, I am not. Remember Tim Walz, Tampon Timmy, wanting to put tampons in the boys' bathroom. He also is the governor of Minnesota, and Minnesota is a state where children can go and get their bodies messed with and surgically, let's just put it like that, to be something that they were not born as without parental consent. Okay? I'm going to let you hear a clip from former President Joe Biden.
It's wrong that the violence and hate crimes targeting LGBTQ people is rising. It's wrong that extreme officials are pushing hateful bills targeting transgender children, terrifying families, and criminalizing doctors. These are our kids. These are our neighbors. It's cruel and it's callous. Not somebody else's kids, they're all our kids. They're the kids, and our children are the kite strings that hold our national ambitions aloft.
They are not somebody else's children. Our children, my children, belong to my husband and me. They don't belong to anyone else. Okay, we should have parental authority over our children. And that is something I believe that if they were back in power, the Democrats would definitely take away, is authority, parental authority over our children. Now, we need to be careful. We have voting to do, midterms, other presidential elections, prayer. We have to pray consistently, always and all the time. So that is what I believe that the Dems, the demon rats, the folks in the background would want. Okay. But we have a president that is in the process of destroying the puppet masters. And again, how you do that, secure the border, secure the United States with a wonderful, strong military. How do you also do that? Oh, you take away insider trading, you get rid of the money laundering that the Democrats use, Act Blue, you get rid of that. All of that is being done as we speak. So the Democrats are literally done. But if they ever were to get back in power, this is what I believe they would do, which is everything I've mentioned in this video. This is what I believe. And, the proof is out there if we just would really pay attention to what they're actually saying, listen to what they're saying, and listen to what they're doing. And they don't want unity. They want disunity. And the Democrat Party's greatest fear is unity. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Don't forget to smash the like button, comment, share, subscribe to my channel, select all notifications. You all be blessed. Love God, your families, these United States of America, and march on, warriors.